Hi. Okay, so today we are going to be making a pot roast. We're going to be using pork shoulder for it. Um, I was at Aldi's today and I found it's 2.5 pounds of pork shoulder and it's got like some kind of a barbecue seasoning on it. So that should be very interesting. I'm gonna chop up this onion here. It's funny, so my birthday's coming up in a couple months, and one thing that I asked for is a Dutch oven because I've always wanted one, but I just couldn't like justify spending the price or spending the money, sorry. And I told my husband, I was like, oh yeah, I'd really like a Dutch oven for my birthday. Well, he ordered one off of Amazon and it came the other day. Unfortunately, they didn't ship it in like an Amazon box. They shipped it in the manufacturer's box. So I saw what it was. I was super excited about it. So I was like, oh, I gotta make something. Gotta make something with it. So doing a pork roast today. Like I said, I've never I've never made one before. I don't actually eat beef, so I don't cook it a lot. I'll cook it for my husband here and there, but I mean, I'm not the best cook when it comes to steaks and stuff, so we eat a lot of chicken and a lot of pork, and sometimes turkey. I'm not too adventurous with other kinds of meats. I do enjoy lamb, though. It's pretty good. So I've got one onion diced up here. I'm gonna do the recipe that I found. I just found some like random recipe. It looks like all the recipes I was looking at says to do like 2 stalks-ish of celery. Now I had some celery already cut up for like snacking, so I'm just gonna do like a rough-ish chop here. Do that out there. Eyes are like really watering already with this onion. I think I read somewhere that if you put down like a wet paper towel or something next to the station where you're chopping onions, it's supposed to help I think absorb some of the oils or whatever it is in the onion so that your eyes don't water. Of course, I never remember to do that until I'm already chopping the onions like now. So I think that's what 2 stalks of celery would look like. I'm just kind of putting them all in the same bowl because when we add it to the pot, we're going to add all of these together. And I think there's some baby carrots here. We're going to cut up, it said 1 carrot, but I like a lot of carrots, so we're just going to kind of chop up a bunch of carrots here. It's like fairly good size. It's the weekend, so I plan on trying a bunch of new recipes. My daughter loves these little blueberry muffins that I get from Aldi's, and they're like the little mini ones. So I'll get a pack, and they come in a pack of, I think it's like 12 or 13 or something like, or not 12, 13, 12 or 16. I can't remember. But anyways, she would literally eat the whole pack if we don't stop her. But I bought a pack today and both my kids have already eaten like 4 of them. So we're gonna attempt to make blueberry muffins today, probably a little bit later. As you know, she loves to bake and cook. So my cousin got her little cookbook for her birthday, and in it is a recipe for blueberry muffins. So that'll be fun for us to do. You might hear some music because my husband's outside getting all the deck furniture ready for this season. It's starting to get nicer out where we are. So hopefully we can have some dinners out on the deck. It's always nice. Sometimes I like to go out there. I work from home a lot of the time, so sometimes I like to go out there, have my lunch, or maybe I'll like bring my laptop out and I'll work out there sometimes. Although the glare from the sun makes it a little hard to see my screen sometimes, so. Oops, man, things flying all over the place today. All right, so we've got these. So we got, I think they call this a mirepoix, I think. So we've got that. The recipe, like a bunch of them that I saw called for garlic too. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a bitty baby cloves of garlic. And I'm just going to give this a rough chop because I think, so this goes in the oven for like 3 hours. So I'm not going to be too specific with all of my chopping because quite honestly, I think that a lot of this is going to like cook down. But I don't know if you remember, but I'm saying we love garlic in this house. And I actually bought some basil today because we didn't have any. And I think I'm going to make and freeze some more pesto because I don't know. I feel like homemade pesto just tastes so much better than the store-bought. But once you make your own, you can't go back. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of like give this garlic like a rough chop like this. Chop it up a little bit more. Okay. So I think that's good. Now, I think that's pretty much all I need to do as far as prepping ingredients. I'm going to take you over and we're going to kind of start heating up the Dutch oven. It's so beautiful. I can't wait for you guys to see it. Searing the meat and getting all of the vegetables kind of like sweated out, and then we're gonna go from there. All right, I'll see you over at the stove. Okay, so we're over at the stove. I heated up the Dutch oven and I put a little bit of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of butter in here. And then I popped in the pork shoulder that I had to sear. So I have it on medium-high heat. And we're just kind of letting it sear up in here. I actually forgot to put the butter in before I put the pork in, so I kind of just tossed it in afterwards. Oops. Isn't this beautiful Dutch oven? It's like this beautiful blue. And I figured that it'd be kind of nice to have this, like have a nice like fun color. Because this way, when we have guests over and I want to serve something, I can just take it right from the oven and put it on the island so people can serve themselves, and it still looks really pretty. All right, here we go. Yeah, so this is the cover of it. It's such a beautiful blue color. It kind of matches our cabinets. Well, our lower cabinets. So we're going to sear this up on both sides. Oops, this guy didn't get flipped over. And then once we're done here, once all of the pork has been seared, I'm going to take it and transfer it to a plate. And then we're going to add in our mirepoix, so our carrots, onion, and celery mixture. We're going to saute that up. We're going to get them soft. And then we'll add the garlic in. Let that kind of cook up in the pot, and then we'll add in some salt and pepper, tomato paste, flour, red wine, and broth, and I think bay leaves and parsley. That's what it is. And then we'll cover it up and we'll put it in the oven. So this is kind of what they're looking like. Seared one side. I think part of me is just excited that I'm using this Dutch oven because it's so beautiful. I mean, my husband made fun of me when I opened the box. He was like, I've never seen anybody so excited over a pot in my life. I'm like, wow. Very excited. I've been wanting one of these for so long. So I think that these are seared up enough. So I'm gonna start taking them out, and I'm just gonna put it on this plate here because we're gonna add it back in a little bit. It smells delicious right now, and it's only the meat that's been searing, so I have high hopes. All right. Almost lost that guy. Okay. Got that on the plate. All right. So next we're going to add in our carrots, celery, and onion. So let's get that in there. I always love the smell of onions and garlic sauteing on the stove. It just smells so good. I actually make a really good penne vodka sauce, and I stopped adding the vodka when I was pregnant with my son because I was like, you know, first time parent. I wasn't sure if that was okay to have, so I started omitting the vodka, and just the smell of like onions sauteing in butter, it's just like such a heavenly smell. But maybe next time when I make a batch of that sauce, I'll show you guys. And it's like the easiest sauce to make too. All right, let's give this guy a stir. Let it cook down a bit, and I still have the heat on medium high. I'm assuming that the Dutch ovens, like the way that the heat is distributed, is a little bit different than like a regular pot or pan. So I'm going to be learning a lot. I like to try and balance my spoon on the handles of the pot. It doesn't always work, but only because I don't really feel like messing up another dish to rest my spoon on. The least amount of dishes that I have to do at the end of the night, the better. Although my husband does usually do the dishes at the end of the night. Since I cook, he'll clean, but I know it's not his favorite thing to do, so I try not to create too many dishes for him to do. And you know what? I'm going to put some salt and pepper in this as it's kind of cooking up here. I feel like that seems like I put a lot in, but it's not really that much. My salt and pepper shakers are kind of getting a little old. I feel like, at least with pepper shaker, I'm constantly having to charge it. And there's only one charger that will work with it and one outlet. It's like the tiniest little charger. I think the cord is maybe like that long, just enough to reach the outlet and salt and pepper shaker. And like it's literally the only thing that will charge my pepper, like the pepper grinder. Really weird. All right, so this is kind of like, the onions are definitely getting softer. The carrots are still a little bit crunchy, as well as the celery, but like I said, I think with it cooking for so long, it's all gonna soften up and cook down. So I think what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to add the garlic. Yeah, I don't have my little sous chef here to hold the chopping board for me. She's outside playing. We've been out all day. My husband took them to Costco earlier to get a couple of things, and they like to get the samples. Although I think they kind of struck out today because they only got one sample. You might have gone too early. But they've been out and about. They went to the park earlier. Now that it's nicer out there, like they are such outdoor kids. Yesterday it was relatively warm outside, so they went outside and they were digging for worms. So they had like these 2 little trays and they had all these worms in there. And then when they were done, they just put the worms back, filled up the hole that they had made, and that was that. They were riding their bikes and just having a really good time. So they're out there now. I think I see them. I think they might be throwing a ball around out there, but I have a feeling that all 3 of them are going to come in and they're going to be so tired. My husband got back from running errands with them. He already looks tired, and it's 2:30, so I don't know if he's going to make it until bedtime. Oh, this smells really good. It smells so good. Okay, so we're gonna let that cook down a little bit, and then once it cooks down, we're gonna add, let me see what I write down here, 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. We're gonna add that, and we're gonna let it kind of like melt into everything, brown up just slightly. We don't want to burn it. And then we'll add some flour to just kind of thicken up the broth and everything that we're going to be cooking. Then we'll add some red wine, like a cup probably. I mean, we might measure that with our heart, because I feel like when it comes to wine in cooking, you don't really have to be that precise. And it's still a little early, so I'm drinking my tea right now, but maybe I'll enjoy a glass of wine later tonight. We'll see. I don't really drink a lot. I feel like the older you get, the less you're able to actually drink. You just kind of feel kind of crummy the next day. So I don't actually drink a lot. Here and there, maybe like socially. So having a glass of wine at night is like a big deal. Although my husband and I, we used to go to vineyards all the time before the kids were born. That was like our thing. We would go to the different vineyards, and we have a bunch of like nice ones around us. And we would do like the tasting, we'd do like the wine trail, get some fancy cheeses and do all that. But like I said, once the kids came around, you just kind of, you're already tired and you need to be alert. So kind of stopped drinking wine and tasting wines and stuff. He's more into bourbon now anyways. He's got a pretty good collection going right now. It's like his thing. Everybody jokes that he ruins drinks for them because he'll mix up some really good, like really yummy drinks, and whenever somebody will go out to a restaurant, they'll try to like order something similar, and they'll always come back and be like, you know what? You completely ruined the drink experience for us when we go out because you make your drinks so like delicious. All right, so I think it's about time that we can add in the tomato paste. Now, I'm going to kind of just guess. This is a 6-ounce can. So, let's see. That's like about a tablespoon, right? So I'm just gonna add one. Oh, that's a little bit more too. Let's just do like, as Gianna would say, 2.5 scoops. Let's get that in there. We're gonna kind of just like mix that up. I think like when you're doing like a roast or something, you have to once you add each ingredient, you kind of gotta let it cook and like let those flavors release. At least I feel like that's what they say in those like cooking shows, and like people that know what they're talking about, I feel like that's something that they would recommend. And the funny thing is, my brother-in-law actually went to school for culinary arts. He is an amazing chef. So I always love on holidays, he'll like, whenever he makes stuff, it's like he comes up with the most delicious dishes. So it's a real treat whenever he cooks for us. Although I will say, he's been trying some of my dishes, and he says that they're good, so I'm feeling really confident about getting back into like trying new recipes and cooking. Makes me feel good. He made these butternut squash stuffed shells, or no, was it yeah, he made those, and he also made like a butternut squash lasagna for Thanksgiving one year, and oh my gosh, so good. We usually throw a party every fall, and we have our friends come over, and we call it bourbon and bar bites. So everybody brings over an appetizer, and we provide the drinks and stuff like that. Obviously no kids are here, but he made those for one of those parties, and we were like, my brother and I were like, you have to bring that to Thanksgiving, that is your dish. So he did, and everybody enjoyed them. They were gone. Sometimes I tell him, I'm like, hey, make an extra tray for me. And he's so kind. He always obliges. Okay, so I think that this tomato paste is kind of cooked down a little bit. So I have 2 tablespoons of flour here. I measured it out already because you guys are currently propped up on my flour canister. So we're just gonna add that into there, 2 tablespoons of flour, and kind of incorporate that. This is what's gonna thicken up our broth, or our stew, pot roast, whatever you wanna call it. So we're just gonna let that cook up a little bit. Hopefully I don't burn anything. Let me turn the heat down a little bit here. I feel like it's up pretty high. Still had it on medium high. Pretty sure it shouldn't have been up that high the whole time. Oh, looks so good. All right, now we're gonna add about a cup of red wine. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna eyeball. This is about a cup. So let's see. That was way more than a cup. That's all right. I actually really like this wine. It's Apothic Red. It's really good table wine. Probably like $10 a bottle, but for some reason I just really like that wine. It's very delicious, and I will probably be having a glass of that tonight. All right, so we're gonna let this cook, and we're supposed to let it reduce a little bit. So here we go. I don't know how long it's gonna take to reduce it. What I have in my pot here does look a little thick right now. I can kind of, it looks like, so it's pretty thick. Maybe we'll just put a little bit more wine. Because why not, right? We'll put a little bit more. I mean, that's like a splash. Put a splash more. Because I just feel like it looks really thick already. So let's let that sit. I'm gonna let that reduce a little bit. Okay. And once this is like done reducing a little bit, we're gonna add the pork back in there. And then we're gonna add some broth. I don't think that we want to cover the pork. I think we want it to just kind of be like level with the top maybe. Because I think that if you don't have enough liquid, I'm assuming that if you don't have enough liquid, once you put it in to cook for 3 hours, it's going to get really dry and it's going to burn. I feel like this is still up really high. That's okay. Looking and smelling really good. See? Mmm. I think later on tonight we're also going to make, I'm going to try and pickle those jalapenos because I have them left over from the jalapeno popper chicken that I made earlier in the week. I think also on our agenda is my son has been after me to make homemade butter. I made some probably like a month ago and he really liked it. And honestly, it was so easy to make. It's just, you just put some heavy cream in your stand mixer and just kind of let it go and it'll turn to, first it turns to like a whipped cream. And I think at that point, if you wanted to just like use it as whipped cream, you could just add, I think like probably powdered sugar and I think vanilla to it. I used to make whipped cream when my husband and I were engaged. Every like Sunday I would make a big dinner. I mean, not dinner, a big breakfast. And I would make like French toast or pancakes and I would do fresh whipped cream on it and I would put a little bit of like amaretto in it. So good. So I think, so you could do that. And then if you want to make butter, you just keep letting the KitchenAid mixer go. And eventually you'll start to see the butter start to form. The butter and the buttermilk start to separate. So you just kind of let it go. And then you rinse it out, add some salt, and there you go. You got butter. All right. So this is, I mean, this is pretty thick. I think if I don't stir it, it's gonna kind of like start burning. So I'm going to add the pork back to this because I feel like I need to start adding some liquids and it's getting really hot here. All right, so let's get this pork added back in here. Okay, let's kind of get them all comfy cozy in there. Snuggle them in there. All right, I'm gonna put this in the sink. Okay, so now I've got my pork in here. I am going to add about 2 cups of broth. Now, I don't actually have broth, so I'm going to use this. I have, it's called roasted chili and garlic base. I don't know. It's got some flavor in it, so I'm thinking that it's going to be really good with this. Okay, so I'm just going to start adding this because like, I don't know how much I'm going to need. Let's see. All right, so I've got about a cup in there right now. Let me just see. And it's like kind of up to the top of the pork. Well, like I said, I want to make sure that I add enough because I don't want this to burn. That would not be good. All right, let's add some of this stuff. Use the same spoon that I used. I mean, I'm gonna put like probably like this much. I'm just gonna mix that in because honestly, I don't have beef broth, and like I said, I don't eat beef, so I don't really have that kind of stuff in my house. But I think that this will be just fine. I'm just gonna mix it in here. And you know what? Worst case, I think that they're gonna be so tired that they, even if it doesn't come out really good, they might just think that it's good because they'll be so tired that they're not thinking straight. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Let me add a little bit more water here. Okay. My husband's got some music playing out there, so I've got something to listen to while I cook. It's very nice. Okay, So I added probably a 1 3/4 cup of water in there. And like I said, it's coming up to the top of the roast, but it's not covering it completely. So we're gonna put that in there. And then I'm gonna add 2 bay leaves and a little bit of parsley. Let me see if I can find parsley. Okay. So we're gonna add a little bit of parsley. I don't have fresh, so I'm just going to use dried parsley, like jarred parsley. So I don't know how much, I'm just kind of like eyeballing how much. I would say maybe this is like, I don't know, like a tablespoon, I guess. And then I'm gonna add 2 bay leaves. This, and we will take the bay leaves out when it's time to serve. I'm actually going to make, so I know most pot roasts have potatoes in it, but I wasn't sure about putting the potatoes in here. So actually I'm gonna put in 3 bay leaves because I really do like the taste of them, the flavor. So I didn't put any potatoes in here. However, I have this, it's a Rosemary Parmesan Quick Bread mix that I kind of want to use. So I'm gonna make this with this tonight. And I think it'll be really good to go along with this and kind of sop up some of those juices. I mean, worst case, if we want potatoes, I can roast some potatoes later. But I know this takes a while to cook. It's 2:43 right now, so we are going to now turn the heat off, cover this, and pop it in the oven, which is preheated to 350. So we're gonna pop it in there for about 3 hours, and then I will show you what it looks like when it comes out. Let me get this guy in here. Ooh, it's heavy. All right, see you guys soon. All right, moment of truth, opening this up. That looks really, really, really good. I'm gonna shred this up and serve it up with some of the bread. Bread is over here. I just sliced it up. It's gonna be delicious. All right, here's what we're looking at. Really excited to try it.